I think the biggest problem that most people have is they overestimate their why that they need to have in terms of productivity. You know, like, oh, I wish I could just work hard, but I just can't find my why. Like, Max, you seem like you have the burning fire within you and you have your why. Yes, I do have a why, and that's great. But you know what? Here's a little lesson about productivity that I learned when I served in the Austrian army. Obviously, we don't have war, so it's not a big deal to serve in the Austrian army. Plus, you have to serve it for 6 months once you turn 18. And I remembered very specifically, the very first week I suffered a lot in the army. You know, they wake you up in the middle of the night. You have to go crawl through mud. You have to run around in the cold, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, this sucks. Like, because I kept trying to search for a why. Like, what is that good for me if I crawl through the mud? What do I have to do? And then literally one day to the other, I looked myself in the mirror at some time at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and I had my head shaved and everything, and I said to myself, you know what, Max? I think if you really want to survive these 6 months, then you're just gonna shut up, you stop thinking, and you do exactly what they tell you. Without thinking of why you gotta do this, you just do it. And that's what I did. When they said, go crawl on the floor, go do push-ups, go run through the woods, go do this, go yell around here, I would just do it without questioning it. And did I need to have a why in order to crawl through the mud? No. Did the why help me as I was running 15 kilometers? No. I just did it because I was being told to do it. And what I've developed through that was something that we call discipline. That's really the key point here. Again, it's good to have a why if you have one, but don't use the lack thereof as an excuse. You go do the right things if you want to get to the end goal. My end goal was survive the 6 months military service, and that was it. But I didn't need a big why to do that. All right? You overestimate why. On top of that, when it comes to productivity and work ethic, you can kind of see these are very interchangeable terms. On top of that, stop giving your emotions so much weight, so much leverage. Your emotions are not real. They're chemical reactions in your brain. And what often happens is your emotions come from your mind, right? What often happens is you're being controlled by your mind, right? Simple example, you wake up in the morning as the alarm rings. What does your mind tell you? I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you my mind tells me that. It says, go snooze and keep sleeping. That's my mind, right? Question is ultimately, are you the master of your mind, or is your mind the master of you? Are you the master of your emotions, or are your emotions the master of you? You've been given this great gift, your mind. You've been given that by the universe, by God, just physics, whatever you believe in. Physics exists, whether you believe in, but you get what I'm trying to say. And you've been given this tool, but yet 99% of us don't use it as a tool. We use it as our master. So when your emotions say, oh, let's go keep sleeping because I'm tired, be like, yeah, that's great emotions, but I'm the boss here. I am. My end goal that I want to get to is the boss, so let me go do that. Please understand that. And when people think like, oh, Max, but you work all the time and it's easy for me, it's not easy for me. It's just as hard as it is for you. It's just as hard. But I've learned to not let my emotions screw me over. I just put them on the back burner. I go do things anyway. I've said this many times before. Treat your own emotions oftentimes like, it's a good example. I brought this example before. Like, do you remember the times when you were at home and you lived at home and you played video games with your buddies, be it Game Boy or Nintendo 64 or PS4, depending on what generation you are, and you were playing it and your mom was like yelling like, go vacuum clean your room, or the food is ready, or something like that. You would hear it, but you wouldn't really listen to it. You'd be playing the game like, oh, the next legislative, yeah, ma, I'll be there, 10 more minutes. You don't really, it's just there. It's this noise in your back, at the back of the head. And that's exactly the same with your emotions. Like, oh, you should do a break, oh, you should sleep in, la-di-da, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's just there. I I can't tell you how to shut these emotions off and how to not have negative self-doubt or laziness, thoughts of laziness come up within you. I can't tell you how to do that. I haven't found out how to do that. But I can tell you, just ignore it, because you got more important things to do. You got to master that level. You got to make Mario jump over so he can enter the castle. Right? You gotta have Solid Snake not be detected in that next level. Like whichever it is, you have a task to do. You have to create that task first. You have to finish that task. Which brings to the other thing is structures. There's a lot of people out here doing just blind hustling, feel-good hustling, right? They basically sit down and they say, oh, today I worked all day on my business. I did a bunch of busy tasks because I feel good about myself and I can tell myself I've been hustling. Whereas in reality, they don't actually progress. And this is something that we are working on very, very precisely in our company. We're a meritocracy, which means people get paid, people that work in our team, by the performance that they bring, not by how much or how long they work. I don't care if someone works 8 hours or 10 hours or 6 hours. I care if they finish the task that they have to do. I care if my employees finish the KPIs. They're holding all, they understand what they have to do. They're holding themselves accountable, and they fulfill these KPIs. I don't care if it takes them 6 hours or 10 hours. They have to do their job. Similarly to when a team member asks me, like, hey Max, can I go to my home country for a week and can I work from home there so I can be at the birthday of my mom? I say, yeah, as long as your tasks are being done. If I don't see a dip in performance, I don't care. You can do that, of course. And that's exactly how you should deal with yourself. Stop doing busy work just for the sake of patting yourself on your shoulder and nurturing your ego. Oh, I'm working on my business, I'm working on my business. Progress counts. Actual results count. Which is also why I've had some people comment on our testimonials, for example. If they see testimonials, we're posting literally like, I don't know how many testimonials we post per week on the Insta stories, like 2-3 times a week. We post like 5 to 10 or something like that. And then people say, oh Max, why do you keep posting about how much money your clients are making? The reason for that is because that's a measurable result. Like, why don't you talk about your clients being happy and so on and so forth? Sure, every now and then we show a testimonial of a client just being grateful, but ultimately the measurable result is that they actually have a business. They can feel as good as they want about their business. If they don't create revenue, they don't have a business. Spoiler alert. And same goes for you. If you haven't generated income or the amount of income that you want for your business, then you don't have a business. Right? Imagine you have a cousin who's overweight and his goal is to lose weight because otherwise there's a significant health threat for him. And they're like, oh, my diet is going great. I feel like I really know everything and I'm watching a lot of content and I'm liking all the posts from the 8-pack Instagram influencers. I feel really great about my diet. But if they weigh themselves, they step on the scale and it's the same weight than before, then they're not on a diet. You're not succeeding. So you have to understand that as well. It's a lot of real talk, and I feel like especially nowadays in the age of feel-good content and feeling safe spaces and so on and so forth, we have to be a little harsher on ourselves. We have to be a little harsher on ourselves. And when I think back to my very first business, how I had nothing. I didn't have a nice home office apartment like I have here. Jeez. I literally didn't even have a room. Sometimes I didn't have my own bed. Especially on my first world tour. You know how many times I had to share my own bed with my assistant, my literal videographer dude. I had to share my bed with him as I was on tour. It's horrible. It was not nice. I was scared about my future. I wasn't sure, am I gonna make it? Like, what is gonna happen if I never crack the code of building my business? Like, my literal plan B was like, okay, if nothing works, I could always still go back to the Austrian army. Sign up for some international job that I would do there, get my 3-4K euros paid, being in Kosovo or Chad and, patrolling around. Like, that was literally my plan B. So I said, man, Max, if you wake up and you're scared about your future and you have worry and there's uncertainty and that uncertainty bothers you, then go work. I literally always had my laptop. It was way before I was able to afford a MacBook. I had like some random Windows phone, Windows laptop. It literally took forever to boot up. You know, you'd turn it on and then you'd have like 5 minutes until you could actually use the internet browser. It was crazy. So I always had it next to my bed, so I would like wake up, couldn't sleep, worried, boom, open it, work until you feel better. And even when I didn't want to work, I said, well, I do want to, I better work and create myself a future than not work and continuously be in bad emotions. So I kind of said, put your feelings on the back burner, but at the same time, if you have bad emotions, don't try to run away from them. Face them. Let them fuel you. That's a very important key point. Right? To get back to that point that I said before, let them fuel you. So many people say, oh, I feel bad about this. I feel pressure. Good. Literally just the other day, I think even today, someone messaged me in my Instagram Q&A and said, Max, what do you do when I feel constantly that I'm getting too old or something like that? Let me find that. What if you constantly feel you're getting old / losing time? And I said, because it's true. Make something of yourself. All right? It's good that you feel like you're getting old. You're putting a little bit of urgency on you, because what most people lack is a lack of urgency, right? They have zero urgency. Literally, as the assistant comes in here, people have a lack of urgency, though they have to understand that, like, where's the urgency coming from for you? Nowhere. Where's the urgency coming from? Your mom probably is gonna love you. Your dad's gonna say, you know, you could live at my place, son, if you're losing. Like, there's no urgency. There's basically no consequences for you if you leave a below average life. And that is why you don't have urgency. So you have to create that urgency for yourself. So if you're panicking, if you feel like you're getting old and you're almost like fear of losing out, good. Bathe in that urgency and work until that urgency is gone. That simple. All right? That's one thing. The other thing is also on a more practical level is, I feel like when it comes to productivity, but also work ethic, it's not just a logical thing. It's not just a mind thing. It's a physical thing, and it's a spiritual thing. As a spiritual thing, I want to touch a little less on that, because then there's a bunch of people who misinterpret that, and they're like, oh, Max, I've seen your video. I live in a cave. I take LSD every day. Oh, can you help? No, all right. If you can't get your life here, like, get out of here. Stop watching my stuff. On a physical level, that means, look, your body and your mind, they're connected, first of all, and second of all, you need to nurture them, okay? What fuel are you putting into your machine? You're literally operating a survival machine, a workhorse, something that is literally meant to work extremely long hours. You could work, for example, 16 hours a day as well, and you can actually make it work, but you need to fuel it. On a mind level, meaning you need to fuel it positivity. I've talked about this many times before. It also means you need to fuel it with a structured plan. It also means you need to fuel it in a way so you don't sweet talk things. Like I said, hey, only results count. It's a meritocracy. And that also means, though, the physical fuel that you give it to your body, all right? What are you eating? Are you eating a bunch of BS? Are you eating chocolate? Are you eating sweets? Are you eating a bunch of processed carbohydrates? Or are you eating clean? And I noticed that literally every single time I'm slacking off, like, I'm on a diet pretty much 9 to 10 months a year, because I'm a natural fatty, and if I don't stick to a diet, I instantly get really fat. But 2 to 3 months a year, I'm not on a diet. This is around usually November, December. I'm just eating whatever. And every time I started, I tell myself, nah, it doesn't have an effect on my work ethic. Nah, just because I'm eating a bunch of cookies and pizza and heavy fats and all these things, that doesn't mean that I'm having troubles with my brain. Doesn't mean that I'm easily gonna be triggered or stressed out. Turns out I am. It's crazy. And every time I start eating clean, I eat veggies and fruits, I load up on these vitamins, I feel much better. And that is why I always find it strange when there's business owners or people that are successful, but they're slacking off on their physical diet, because I literally always think, like, wow, they're successful despite treating their bodies like garbage. Where could they be if they actually ate healthy? I'm not saying you have to hit the gym 6 times a week. I'm not saying you have to eat clean like an Olympian athlete type of nutrition type of diet. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying what you eat the most should be healthy, all right? Should be clean, stay away from as many processed carbohydrates as possible. And you should exercise frequently. Does that mean you have to hit the gym 6 times a week? No, it means you should exercise 3 times a week, right? Maybe 4 times a week. Hell, the easiest, cheapest way of exercise, get a what's it called? A skip rope, jumping rope. What are these called? Rope skipping rope, you know, that the boxing guys use. Use that. I literally travel with that nowadays. It's amazing. Pack it out, it's like light as hell, and you can do, you skip, what is it called? Skip jumps, you skip the rope. You do skip roping jumps. Whatever, skip rope jumps. You know what I mean? Like the thing where you jump like this. That's a great way to do it. Go for walks. I installed myself actually upstairs on the upper level. I installed myself a walking treadmill. So I have a standing desk and I'm literally walking on it because that way, while I'm talking to my clients, while I'm doing live calls, I get 10,000 steps a day, and that's great. Go walk outside if you can't get a treadmill. Highly recommend you doing that. So these are called productivity hacks, but it's more just a productivity rant. And if you haven't done so yet, check out our podcast if you want to have a little bit more hands down, step-by-step instructions. My business partner Nikita Gunkovic and myself, we have a podcast. We have over 130 episodes by now. I'm going to put the link down in the description below. Strongly recommend you check it out. It's very informative. They're always like 10 to 20 minute long episodes, so they're nice and little bite-sized chunks. Highly recommend you checking it out. Very, very valuable. And ultimately, look, I think to summarize things, people are not harsh enough on themselves. People have become weak. People have become lazy. And if you don't manage to handle that on a base level, on a really most basic of basic level, to force yourself to do something even though you don't feel like it, if you can't handle that, you'll never ever be successful. Neither with my programs, nor with anything else. In fact, most of the time when people come to us, we have around a 75 to 80% of sift out rate currently for people who want to be mentored by us. And if we feel like that person is lazy, that person comes to us saying like, oh, you know, I've tried this and that, but I never fully executed, we literally don't even let them in the program. Completely disregarding the fact how much money they have or how much they could afford from us. We just don't let them in a program because I don't want to work with these people. If you cannot get your basic of basics of basics handled, you're going to have a bad time, and maybe building your own business isn't for you. Being free isn't for you. Maybe you should just work at some random job where you show up, maybe you show up late, right? You just basically do the bare minimum to not get fired. Maybe that's more for you. You need to teach yourself how to do things that are uncomfortable even though you're not feeling like it. That's key, right? That is the key point of this rant for productivity. So if you do want to build your own business and you're not shying away from hard work, maybe you have the work ethic, all you need is a little bit of more structured approach, you're lacking the know-how, then I invite you to book a free consultation call with us. There's a link down in the description below. You click on that link, you can read a little bit more through the page, and at the bottom of that page there's a button, you click that, and then you can book the exact date and time where you want us to call you. The call will be with a real person, not an automated bot funnel whatsoever. And we will not share with you only random, watered down, mainstream, generalized advice. We will talk about facts and how to actually get results. So if you're sick and tired of derping around, watching some content, but not actually getting results for yourself, then this call is for you. Like I said, there's a link down in the description below. But ultimately, it's not a magic pill, and you have to be willing to execute, you have to be willing to be consistent, and you have to be willing to do a lot of things that are uncomfortable for you to do, right? You cannot be lazy. That's the key point. So, talk to you very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.
So I just wanted to post to let you guys know that I just made my first $1,000 sale. I literally just started this program less than a week ago. So I've been taking some of the advice and the little pieces of information that I've gathered so far and closed that sale for the $1,000. So hey, it's only been 5 days.